Good morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, out of Voice Radio. So today, we're going to be having a little bit of a look at an extremely exciting new Malamar card. I adore this Malamar card. Now, I should mention our translation does come from the lovely David Hochmann over at RappelmannTCG. Cheers, David. And this is very much like the Quagsire we looked at yesterday. Because you see, when we look at stage ones like this, one of our immediate concerns is, it's a stage one, are we going to be able to find space in our deck? What is amazing is when we end up in a situation where we're already playing the evolution line. So the Quagsire yesterday was perfect because we're already playing the Quagsire from Dragon Majesty, so it's super easy to chuck this Quagsire in. Well, that's the same thing here, ladies and gentlemen. We are already playing the Malamar from Forbidden Light. An awful lot of people are playing the Malamar from Forbidden Light, so this is going to fit in beautifully. Now, in terms of the basics, it's got 100 HP, which is 10 higher than the other Malamar, which is nice, but it's still pretty gosh darn low. And actually, if you're an expanded, it means no level ball, so it might be worse. Weakness to fighting is also a pain because either of the Buzzwole will still get a one-hit KO with Diancie Prism Star. Retreat cost of 1 is lovely because it's low and you've got Escape Board, and it is 1 lower than the other Malamar, and this is phenomenal. And being a Darkness Pokemon means you've got access to Devoured Field to do a little bit of extra damage, but it also means you can use the upcoming Black Market Prism Star, whereby if you've got a Darkness energy attached and you get KO'd, you don't give up a prize, which is quite nice. But what's really exciting... Oh yeah, and you've also got resistance to Psychic, good because of Garbodor, etc. But what is really exciting about this is the first attack. And according to David, what you do is you look at your opponent's hand, you choose one Pokemon you find there, you discard it, and you do that attack. Any attack you like, with the exception of a GX attack. So this is like the Mimikyu from Guardians Rising with Copycat. You cannot use this to copy a GX attack. But other than that, any attack you like. And this is busted, because it doesn't say you've got to have the energy required. So this fits into the Zoroark or Nihilego school of play, which essentially is, you can use whichever attack you like, and you do not have to have the requisite energy to do so. This is phenomenal! You can copy a Stage 2 GX's attack. So let's say you've got something like Metagross GX, for instance. 150 damage for free energy on a Stage 2. Or 1 basic darkness on this. Okay, I'll give you that. It's not the best, strongest attack ever. Let's do better, shall we? How about Duskmane Necrozma? 220 damage for 4 energy, but you've got to discard 3 of them. Now, the ruling for this is the same as the ruling for Reshiram, the one with blue flare, and the Zoroark from Black and White. You do the 220 damage, then you discard 3 energy. If there are 3 energy on Malamar, you discard them. If there's only 1 energy, you discard it and go, I've discarded the energy. That's all that I can do. You can copy attacks from Stage 2s. You can copy attacks from GXs. Heck, you can copy attacks from Stage 2 GXs. And we often see that really good attacks are put onto Pokemon, and it's mitigated because it's a lot of energy, or it's a Stage 2. And actually here what we see is no, you can copy any of them for 1 darkness energy. It is ridiculous, ladies and gentlemen. You can copy whatever attack you like. Let's say you're against a Tapu Bulu deck. If they've got a Tapu Bulu in their hand, you can just copy Nature's Judgment, discard your energy, do 180, get a 1-hit KO straight away. You can copy Zeraora's attack, which does 160 with a choice band 190, which will KO a Zeraora. It really is over the top great. But of course it's not the easiest attack to use, because it's got to be a Pokemon in your opponent's hand. Okay, that is slightly annoying, but there are a couple things we can do about this. Incidentally, as a side note, there is a very good chance here that what your opponent is going to try and do is just stop you doing this by getting the Pokemon out of their hand. Play the Pokemon, or discard it with an Ultra Ball. Well, great. This is a classic example of your opponent playing in a way they don't want you to try and spite you. They're going to be spiting you by not playing the Pokemon they want to play. This is brilliant. But there are a couple things you can do. Firstly, you've got cards like Marshadow and Judge. Marshadow and Judge make your opponent shuffle a hand into their deck and draw a new hand of 4. So they might not have a Pokemon in hand at the moment, but that's all right. You can make them get a new hand. Now, what would be really good with this that they have in Japan and can play in Japan, but we don't have over here, is Team Rocket's Harassment. It's literally just a Judge, but to 5 cards rather than 4, which would be really good if you wanted your opponent to draw a good Pokemon, because they get one more card and hence one more chance to draw something good. But the thing is here, normally we would be worried because, it's a bit of a risk, and what happens if they don't have a Pokemon in hand? If they've got no Pokemon in hand, this does nothing. Well, how about we don't take the risk? Because remember I told you about the Stadium card Lavender Town a couple of weeks ago. I'll pop a link to that video in the description. Lavender Town says that once during your turn, you may look at your opponent's hand. So you play Lavender Town, you look at your opponent's hand. If they've got something that you want to copy. If they don't have something you want to copy, don't copy it. Use a different attacker. I know, right? And this is what's so good about Lavender Town with Malamar. Now, we do have another option here. It is Gumshoe's GX. It is a Stage 1 GX that sits on the bench, and it doesn't have a great weakness, but it is just an ability that you can use every turn. But you've also got the GX attack here, 10 damage plus 50 more for each energy attached to your opponent's active. That could get you a nice big KO at some point during the game. It's not a bad GX attack. So you just use either Lavender Town or Gumshoes to make sure your opponent has the right Pokemon in hand. Job's a good one. Now, if you're playing this in a Malamar deck, you're probably going to be trying to rely on Psychic Energy because Malamar accelerates Psychic Energy. But what we do have here is Rainbow Energy. Rainbow Energy will count as either, so you could always just play a couple of Rainbow Energy here if you were desperate. It's not the most difficult thing ever to pull off, if I'm honest with you. So just play a Rainbow Energy or 2, and you will be fine. This is a phenomenal attack. It's not an every turn attack. It's not an I'm relying on it kind of attack. But it is a every so often it's going to be redonk. And I can play this in a deck where I'm already playing the evolution line, and it's a single energy attack that could proper job swing the game. You can KO GXs for a single energy with a non-GX. That's the kind of stuff you can do here, and that is phenomenally awesome. Now, there is a second attack here, but I've left it till the end. It's not the most exciting attack ever. What it does for a darkness and a double colorless energy is 80 damage, and you discard the top card from your opponent's deck. Now, the good news is with a Devoured Field, you'll get a one-hit KO on Dawnwing's Necrozma. And the good news is with a Choice Band, you'll get a one-hit KO on Bayonet. And you're discarding the top card of your opponent's deck, so you never know. It might help. I mean, if they used a Macago to put the perfect card on top of their deck, this is kind of hilarious because you then make them discard it and, laugh in their face politely. We're all friends here. It's expensive. It's not the reason to play the card. The good news is that if you're playing it in a Malamar deck, getting those other 2 energy are actually going to be quite easy because you can accelerate the energy nicely with Malamar. So I'm not really worried about the attack cost. The attack cost is fine. You play this for the first attack. But if you're playing Malamar anyway, and you're playing a couple of Darkness or Rainbow Energy, and you can accelerate the Psychic Energy needed to fill out the rest of the attack cost, do it. Just do that. And then you've got a Darkness type attacker. So you're hitting for weakness, not against many Pokemon, admittedly, but against a couple. Or you can discard 1 or 2 cards from your opponent's deck, which might be the little bit that you need to actually turn a loss into a win. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm a fan of this, mostly for the first attack. I'm giving it 4 Wassies. I like this because you can get yourself a game-changing attack for a single energy on a non-GX. And yes, it's a little bit of a risk, except it's not that big of a risk because we have multiple different ways we can use to look at our opponent's hand. So there we go. For now, I want to know what you think about this. So do let me know in the comment section, ladies and gentlemen. Go nuts, but I would please ask you to remember the most important rule of all. Be nice, would you? And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWassy, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCGRadio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all of that, head on over to patreon.com/PTCGRadio, where you can do exactly that. And do make sure you're checking out youtube.com/WassyPlays for some more Wassy action. We're over 3,000 subs, and I'm delighted. But by far the most important thing, as always, is to look after yourselves until next time. Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.